Hi, it's Thursday afternoon. Wanted to just take the opportunity to upload a quick video, although uploading has been a bit of a challenge in anything over the last few days. If you're a follower of astrology, then you'll know that Mercury has been in retrograde and will be until the end of the month. We know that the moon can pull oceans in and out a couple of times a day, so not hard for me to believe that when Mercury goes backwards, is that many say that it has a huge impact on technology and technology's ability to be able to do what it normally does. So I've certainly had that experience over the last few days. So I'm going to do my best to get this uploaded without too much challenge. So I wanted to just say thank you to all of you who have reached out and celebrated my going home. I really feel blessed and grateful that I have what feels like your unconditional support, and certainly a few of you in particular have been incredible for support over the last little while. So Deb, who I stayed with, was awesome and amazing, nurturing, loving, caring, accepting, celebrating with me as well. Catherine, who many conversations that kept me grounded and supported, and many of you who reached out on a regular, everyday basis just to see how I was doing. So I just want to say thank you for all of that, and that it does really feel great to be home, and that we're working on the things that we know need care and attention, and we'll continue to do those and continue to enroll the support that we need to be able to be more effective, and as I said before, not just be good but be great together. So wanted to also just say that I had an interesting conversation with someone the other day who asked me why I named the company, my company, Integrity Seminars, being that it feels like a step out from the theme of both Personal Best Seminars, which was the original company, and the Creator's Code, which is Jay's brand and the proprietary owner of The Gift, The Launch, and 3C. And I just want to say that I chose Integrity for two reasons. One, it was the name of a company that I had years ago when I was running a private counseling agency. I called it Integrity Counseling. And the reason that I chose it then is very similar to the reason that I chose it now. And that reason being, if you look at the definition of integrity, the one that we all most often relate to or identify with is the concept of being honest or having a fairly strong moral compass. And so I believe that that applies for me. That's an important value for me, the importance of being honest and the importance of living in integrity with what it is that I say I believe, and more importantly, what it is that I say that I teach. Certainly know that none of us are perfect. I would be the first one to admit that I'm far from being perfect, and it's such an important value for me that I want to let others know in a name and in the name that that matters. And the second thing is, if you also look up the definition of integrity, one of the other things that you'll discover is the idea or the concept of it's the state of being whole or undivided. So coherent, cohesion, togetherness, solidarity. So when something has integrity, it has strength. And so that too is very important to me and has been a critical part of how I have been able to do what I have done in my life, is because of that sense of solidarity, that sense of togetherness, that sense of being whole. And so I know we all struggle often with the concept of being whole, and we see ourselves knowing what we need to do to be in integrity, both in honesty and authenticity and in that strength-based place, and yet somehow we sabotage. And so Carolyn Mace wrote, she's an author that I follow and have read lots of her work. She wrote a book called Sacred Contracts. And in that book, she talks about the reason why we're all here, and that we all have a purpose and a reason for being on the planet, and that it's our job to remember what we said yes to and what our sacred contract is. And one of the ways that we can be discerning in that, and the ways that she helps us discover that, is she says our soul speaks in the language of archetypes, and that it relates to the archetypical kinds of characters or people in history that we can identify with and the qualities that those possess. She says we all have about 12, and her book Sacred Contracts can help you discover which yours are. For example, one of mine is the mystic, another one of mine is the teacher. So there are a number that, as I look at my life, absolutely make sense, and I get that it has been certainly my goal to figure out what it is for me. Now, That being said, she does say we have individual unique ones that are unique to us, and there are 4 that we all share. So as human beings, if you have a pulse, you have these 4 running. So there's the victim archetype, there's the prostitute archetype, there's the saboteur archetype, and there's the child archetype. There's variants of the child archetype, including the nature child, the magical child. So there's different ones that go with the child archetype, and those are all present. So victim archetype, of course, we can all relate to. It's those times in our life where something happens and we go to poor me, or we go to frustration and anger. It's somebody else's fault that this has happened. It's my fault that I continue to allow this to happen. And we can often spend a lifetime in victim. And the price we pay when we're in victim is often we're less willing to take risk. We're less willing to put ourselves out there. We're less willing to take responsibility for what's not working in our lives, etc., etc. The other one is the prostitute archetype. So it doesn't mean that you're off on a street corner selling yourself for money. The prostitute archetype is anytime you say yes when you would really like to say no. So anytime you sell out, anytime you give up on what's important to you. Again, many of us can relate in many different ways to the concept of the prostitute archetype. Child archetype, again, there's the wounded child, there's the inner child, there's the nature child, there's the magical child. There's many different versions of that. It's that innocent part of us that is still carrying the energy of the different types of emotional intelligence that children have. And then there's the saboteur. So it is the saboteur that often is together with the victim, often that takes us out of integrity with ourselves, out of integrity with what we know works, and is the one that we watch and go, why do I keep doing that? Why do I keep spinning inside those cycles and those patterns? So I would love for you to be able to continue to understand those concepts better so that you could begin to also recognize that there's hope. So just because those archetypes are present, it doesn't mean that life is hopeless and that you will forever have to have those take charge and control over what you're creating in your life. It comes down to recognizing that just like everything else in life, awareness is the key. It starts with awareness. And when we have awareness, we have the ability to make choices. So my invitation to you today is, how will you manage your saboteur today? If your saboteur wants to pop up, how are you going to handle your victim if your victim wants to pop up? How are you going to say no to the things that you need to say no to? And how is it that you will nurture that child that exists within you? Words matter, names matter, and so that is, in a nutshell, why I chose the name Integrity. So thank you. It was an interesting question and prompted some thoughtfulness that I hope has you thinking as well. Thank you. Have a beautiful day.